This is a stimulus update and daily news report, and I have a lot of important updates to share with you in this video. So one new study just came out saying that if the US defaults on its debt, it could cost 6 million jobs and over $15 trillion for households. I'll give you the latest of what's going on with the government shutdown and the debt ceiling. We'll talk about this article right here, stimulus update, missing your September child tax credit payment. You aren't alone according to the IRS. Also, how there are two new cities giving guaranteed income of $1,000 and $500 to 5,000 residents. Go more in detail on that. President Biden held an emergency meeting with Democrats to stop the infighting and try to move forward on that $3.5 trillion package. I'll give you the latest with that and some video clips in between. Then I'll answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Hope you're having a terrific Thursday. If you appreciate these fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below, and I'm giving $200 to my subscribers. I'll talk more about that later on in the video, but first, 4 House Republicans file impeachment articles against Biden over border and Afghanistan. So President Biden has had a rough time lately, and his approval ratings are not looking too good. So Biden approval rating drops to record low 43% in Gallup polling. So let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. Do you support President Biden? Do you think he's going through a little rough patch? Is it going to get better for him? Do you think he deserves to be impeached? Let me know your thoughts on all that down in the comments below. Next, let's talk about what's going on with the government shutdown and the debt limit. So mentioned this yesterday, 2 days ago, House passed this bill to prevent shutdown and suspend debt limit. So that was just in the House, that was just among Democrats. Now, we don't really know how this is going to affect us until now. A lot of people hear that we're trillions of dollars in debt, but how is it going to affect our everyday life? So this new study came out according to Moody's saying that US default this fall would cost 6 million jobs and wipe out $15 trillion in household wealth, according to the Moody's study. So it's also saying that it could send unemployment rate surging to roughly 9% from around 5%. So it looks like the economy would basically crash if this ever happens. Will it happen? I don't know. We're going to see. This is the latest video explaining what's going on in Congress with the debt ceiling as well as the government shutdown.
Well, Kelly, the deadline to fund the government is next week. The deadline to avoid a catastrophic default is next month, and Democrats are tying the two together. Now, their plan would keep the government running through December the 3rd and suspend the debt ceiling until December 2022. But Republicans are against this. No GOP lawmakers voted for it when it passed the House last night, and Republicans intend to block it in the Senate as well to protest Democrats' $3.5 trillion social spending plan.
If Washington Democrats want to jam through trillions of dollars in reckless spending all by themselves, they can raise the debt limit all by themselves. If they want to do one, they'll need to do the other.
But Democrats are digging in too. They say this is a shared responsibility that covers previous spending that both parties agreed to.
Those who vote no will be saying we're okay with default and we're okay with the government shutdown. To say do it another way, that doesn't cut it.
Now, there is no easy way out of this jam. Today, 6 former Treasury secretaries sent a letter to congressional leadership urging them to raise the debt ceiling. Kelly, they acknowledged that the process has become more contentious and politically fraught, but they said that default could cause serious economic and national security harm. Back to you.
Which I think everybody would agree upon, but I don't think Secretary Mnuchin was one of the signees.
That's exactly right. There are reports that he did speak to Senator McConnell about this problem, but he did not sign on to that letter.
That then leaves the Republicans in the position of still having to agree to anything that would fundamentally raise the debt ceiling here, right? So what does their version of the path from here to there look like?
Well, what they say is 2 things. One, that they can avoid a government shutdown by simply stripping the debt limit provision out of any short-term funding bill. In fact, McConnell introduced a bill today to do just that. The second thing they say is that Democrats should be able to do this on their own by using the same process that they're using to pass that $3.5 trillion spending bill. The problem with that is that the process is incredibly complicated. It could take a couple of weeks to complete, and they would frankly still need Republican support to help it get out of committee committee and get to the floor in the first place. So this is really an entirely political exercise.
So this seems to be a personal issue for Mitch McConnell as opposed to just getting down to business and doing what's best for the country. He seems to have a little bit of a grudge against the Democrats. So Mitch McConnell tells Democrats not to play Russian roulette with the economy as the GOP plays Russian roulette with the economy. So this is interesting play on words here because Mitch McConnell is saying, oh, because the Democrats did this and they did that, this is the reason why we're not going to support them. Meanwhile, we have, 350 million Americans here. I think it's important Republicans and Democrats work together on this issue, not just let one party take over. Let me know your thoughts on this, on what do you think about Mitch McConnell and how he's handling it. Next, let's get into what's going on with guaranteed income programs. So, newly launched guaranteed income program giving some Durham $500 a month. So Durham, North Carolina, this is going to give $500 per month to low-income households. This is going to 115 formerly incarcerated people. They're going to be selected for this $500 a month. But the two latest big ones here are Chicago. So Chicago's Lightfoot, Lori Lightfoot, who is the mayor, pitches $500 per month universal basic income for poor. Now, this is probably one of the biggest ones because it's going to 5,000 poorest households are going to get the $500 per month, no strings attached for an entire year. So this is a big program and it's going to cost around $31.5 million for the 1 year for 5,000 households to get $500. I guess there's some extra fees in there as well. But let me know your thoughts on that. Also, we have another city here, Universal Basic Income in Phoenix. Council approves monthly checks for 1,000 families. So this one, the council just approved it as of Tuesday this week, and it's going to give 1,000 local low-income families $1,000 for a year. So $1,000 per month to 1,000 families for an entire year. That's a pretty big one. Usually they're around $500. Also, this is part of the big program called Mayors for Guaranteed Income Program. So if you look at this map here, a lot of these cities are having these type of programs starting to sprout up, either $500 a month or $1,000 per month in a lot of these cities. So if you see your city here, take a look, look it up, see if they have the program in the works of going or if it's going already. And new cities are popping up too that are starting to do these programs. Also, what's going on with more money going to people? So with the fourth stimulus check, $2,000 per month to every American, the petition is currently at 2,894,000 signatures, getting really close to 2,900,000, just a few thousand away, probably in the next few days. Also, just to be clear, there is no fourth stimulus check in that $3.5 trillion package. It looks like, I don't know, we haven't heard any big pushes for it lately. Not looking good for that. Now, when it comes to that big package that has a lot of stimulus provisions, the White House says Biden's meetings with divided Democrats were productive, but more work remains. So President Biden had this last-minute urgent meeting with Democrats, basically kind of like the father among his kids saying, all right, guys, you got to get along. Brothers and sisters are supposed to work together. We're a family here, more or less, so to speak. So President Joe Biden stepped in to personally attempt to resolve divisions that are tearing congressional Democrats apart and threatening his entire domestic agenda. Biden met Wednesday at the White House with key moderate and progressive Democrats from both houses of Congress. Senators and White House used words like constructive and productive to describe the meeting afterwards and signaled that more work needs to be done in the coming days. So usually anytime there's a meeting at the White House, whether it's with Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, or whoever, and they say it was a very it was a very good meeting. It was a very constructive meeting from Joe Manchin. Then we have other people saying there is more work ahead in the coming days, and Biden and his team will have to follow up meetings starting tomorrow to continue to advance the process of passing these critical bills. So most likely, we're getting generic responses of how the meetings went. Most likely, it didn't go too well, saying that there's more work to be done. We didn't get the full details. Bernie Sanders was also among the lawmakers who went to the White House. And Progressives say they plan to vote against the bipartisan infrastructure bill next week, basically saying that they do not support it if they don't get their $3.5 trillion package. That was the reason for the emergency meeting. Here's a video clip explaining more from Pramila Jayapal and how she plans to tank the Part 1 if she doesn't get her way with the progressives.
In your view, based on that conversation with the speaker, are these packages still coupled or have they been decoupled?
No, she is very clear that she doesn't have the votes to pass the infrastructure bill without the reconciliation bill.
And you believe that progressives were bluffing about tanking the bipartisan infrastructure bill if that vote comes first. What do you have to say to them?
Try us. I got more than half of the caucus who feels very strongly we're going to deliver the entirety of the president's agenda to the president.
Tell me in your own words where you think this process is right now and how close the Democrats are to a decision.
Yeah, and Rachel, you characterized it perfectly. I just want to take us back just a minute to when President Biden got elected, and actually even before that, during the campaign, what he campaigned on. It was on childcare, universal childcare, paid leave, making sure we repair housing, making sure we address climate change, expanding healthcare, addressing immigration. These were all things that he campaigned on. And when he became president, this was the agenda that he put forward. And it was called the Build Back Better agenda. We progressives 3.5 months ago said, let's just pass the whole thing together, jobs, infrastructure, and all of these other pieces that I mentioned, which are the largest part of the president's agenda. When it became clear that some moderate Democrats, conservative Democrats, whatever you want to call it, wanted to have a bipartisan infrastructure bill, then we said we are not willing to leave out women from coming back to the workforce by getting childcare. We are not willing to leave out health care. And so we will agree to that bipartisan bill if and only if we also pass the reconciliation bill first. That was our position. We whipped our members on it. Over half of the Progressive Caucus 3 months ago today said we will vote for both bills. We will vote for the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which is much smaller. And frankly, Rachel, it has a lot of things that our members don't like. But if we can get the reconciliation bill that has the majority of the president's agenda in it, the majority of what we ran on, then we will vote for both bills. That has been our position 3 months ago. It remains our position today. Now, when the Senate passed the bipartisan bill, Senator Sanders, Senator Warren, many other progressive senators only voted for that bipartisan bill because they were given a commitment by the senators in the Democratic Party and the president that we would move these two things together, the reconciliation bill, the Build Back Better Act, as it's called now, and the bipartisan bill. So they come over to the House, and all of a sudden, the tables get turned on us, and we are now finding that people are saying, oh, no, just pass the infrastructure bill, and you know what, we'll get to childcare later. We'll get to paid leave later. Well, Rachel, we are committed to delivering the entirety of the president's agenda to the president's desk. And that is what we have had to do. The speaker says it beautifully. She says, the children have the leverage, and we're not going to give that up. This is the leverage for transformational investments that people will wake up and feel differently about themselves and will know that government delivered for them.
Let me know your thoughts on what Pramila Jayapal said. Do you agree, disagree? So next, let's move on. So another article came out. Bernie Sanders pitches $1,000 debit cards for seniors in budget bill. So we have a little more details on this. So these are the $1,000 vouchers. Basically, will be loaded onto debit cards for dental visits, hearing aids, or eyeglasses under a plan from Bernie Sanders. And the people who would be eligible for this are people making less than $75,000 as an individual, or families making $150,000 or less as a married couple. So what he said here is the goal is to provide dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses as soon as possible with these $1,000 debit cards, which could be used for these services. Next, let's talk about that the child tax credit. So stimulus update, missing your September child tax credit payment. You aren't alone, according to the IRS. So I got a lot of comments, actually. What's going on with the child tax credit. It got the first two, but for whatever reason, this one didn't come. So if you receive the first two child tax credit checks on time, but are missing your September payment, don't panic. There have been numerous reports of parents complaining online about missing checks over the last few days, and now the IRS has confirmed there is indeed an issue. This is what the IRS said right here. We are aware of instances where some individuals have not yet received their September payments, although they received payments July and August. These individuals may not yet be able to receive a current status on the irs.gov update portal. The IRS is currently looking into the situation. We will share more information as soon as possible. Basically saying that yes, there are missing payments, and we're going to look into it. We don't have any updates as of now. So I'll keep you updated once they figure out what's going on with those missing payments, and I'll let you know. Next, I'm going to answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Donna Reed asks, David, every time at the end of the video, I can't hear you on what to do to enter the $200. Can you please send me the link? Thanks so much. Love your videos and other channels. Thank you so much for the support, Donna. So basically, to get the $200 that I'm giving out to subscribers, I'll have details to that down in the description below, but basically you have to be subscribed to this channel, Wise Flies, my newest channel, Wise Buys, and Wise Vibes. I'll have links to that down in the description below, and then you have to comment on an older video just from a few days ago, and that I'm going to pick that comment, pick a random winner who does that comment, and then that's how I pick the winners on the 27th. So still have 4 more days to sign up, but all the details are down in the description below. Just hit the show more tab and you'll see that. Mary Hood, what about single people that don't have children or available for Social Security? We get left out and no help. Why aren't we getting another stimulus check? Yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely groups of people who are completely left out and just kind of basically getting screwed here. Lorinda Peterson, what about people on SSI and Social Security? Any kind of stimulus coming, or are we just forgotten again? Not right. Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel good, especially with the past 3 stimulus checks. People on SSI, Social Security were at the end of the line, including veterans. And then it seems like a lot of stimulus programs are for people with kids, families. Now even seniors are getting it, but there's still SSI and a lot of single people without kids who are not getting any help, unfortunately. Phoebe Fugate asks, how come no one mentioned anything about Manchin's wife getting all that money? Take the money away from her. So yeah, Joe Manchin's wife is getting $1 billion in that Part 1 infrastructure plan towards her Appalachian Committee, which I think is a ton of money. Something a little shady there, especially since Joe Manchin is connected there. Anyways, that is all the stimulus news I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Belle. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you the one thing you should do. Remember when you were a kid, you always used your imagination in your mind. That's why it's called imagination. Imagining what you're thinking about. And remember that when you were a kid, you use your imagination for like anything, like movies. You watch the movies. You imaginate yourself with it. You may sometimes when you're watching cool movies, use your imagination to do the same thing if you want.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. So just a quick reminder, giving out those $200 to subscribers. I'll have details to that down in the description below. Announcing the winners on September 27th. And everything else is going great with the family. My daughter loves going out in the rain and running around and splashing and getting wet. We did that yesterday. It rained like almost all day yesterday, and she had a lot of fun doing that. Anyways, if you want to check out any of my other videos, you could click up here or down here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.